Hey, Mark Meldrum, Northern Hostelville Club, and my favorite part of the project, I tell you, is putting these chrome big block valve covers on. Oh, wait a minute. I'm working on the wrong car. These don't go on here, but I tell you, aren't they pretty? Oh my gosh, I love getting these valve covers in the mail. I'm telling you, I wish they could go on this LS motor. But one thing I needed was I needed to go with the slant valve cover here because we're going to be putting a power brake booster on the old El Camino. So we'll need some clearance there. So I tell you, I'm whooped after this weekend putting that motor in. I'm trying to take it easy here, just do some jewelry here and there. We got some different projects. Let me tell you, bucket of, let me see, I don't know, about a cup of vinegar in this bucket, and I tell you, it did a nice job of cleaning out the oil canister. So I tell you, this thing was rusty. There was rust all over this thing, and now it looks pretty darn good. I'll be able to dry that up and put a coat of paint on it, and then these filters, you can still find them. Look at that, the canister filters from Hastings come with a little O-ring there. Another project we got going on this week is the pinion seal. So from Timken, right here in Ohio, Timken Bearings, they make these seals too. So we'll be putting this on the 12 bolt, and then that should fix all the oil leaks on Project El Camino that's sitting over there, Project Cisco Kid. So we're going to take it easy, do some light projects tonight, and slowly get this baby back together. All right. See ya. Okay, a couple tips here on jewelry night out for the big block here. One thing I like, at first I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did this because, for the most part, I like to stick with originality. But I start to make concessions when, a car like this, just a well-maintained vehicle. And one of the things they did throughout this engine life was normally for the big block valve covers, you've got this little bolt with a tab on it to help lock that down, okay? And what they did on this was they put studs. There's 4 studs on each one of these. So I actually have to put a nut on those. That's nice because I tell you what, these things are a devil to get started because you got the gasket is nice and thick, and you got to press it down, and these little bolts here, they don't have much thread engagement once you get past the gasket. So one thing I like to do, I tell you, you see me using a lot more of these around, these DeWalt power tools. And I had the impact, and I was using that quite a bit on the engine. And this is just a smaller unit, and it doesn't have it. You can actually set the torque. You don't need to set a lot of torque on these because you don't want to squish the gasket so much. But I still kind of go by feel anyway. But what's nice is you can press and turn at the same time, and you'll feel that grab and pull down. So a nice light to see what you're doing, and you can push and compress that gasket a little bit just to get that first thread started. Because otherwise, if you're sitting there with a wrench, a ratchet wrench, you really can't put that force down on it. So these are nice little tools, and I'm telling you, they have saved me a heck of a lot of time when it comes to taking these cars apart and putting them back together. Speaking of originality, another thing you might want to do if you're getting the super original is the tops of these cork gaskets were silver. So you could actually see the silver coming out from the tabs around the gasket area. Now, these are reproduction valve covers, and they didn't come with any gaskets. That came with the main seal kit I got from Summit. And they don't have the little tabs that come out the side. Usually you'll see that coming out the side here. Maybe I'll show you a shot of the other engine sitting here. I think we did the silver on the top. Anyway, just little doodads here and there. Trying to give you some tips tonight. And next, we're going to talk about black paint. All right, so we're back at the canister, and I wanted to get that dried off and get a coat of black paint on it as quick as possible. And of course, you know, they probably dip this in paint at the factory, but we're using spray cans to paint this. And one thing I always want to tell you about black paint, you know, you want to put a couple coats of black paint on this, but do not let this black paint set up all the way and then come back the next day for another coat of paint. Because I have found that more than once that paint will crack and it crays and it drives me absolutely bonkers. So let your paint tack up, and then so it's not going to drip, and then get another coat of paint on there as quick as you can without getting any drips. And I'm telling you, you'll be a lot happier. You won't have to sand the paint back off because it's cracked. This goes out for any type of black paint that you're putting on the engine or the car or whatnot. And we like to mix, Larry and I always like to mix it up. We use gloss paint, we use semi-gloss, we use different manufacturers, because that's the way GM did it. They didn't get painted all at the same place, all at the same time, like these modern restoration shops do. So I like to see different sheens on different parts. It just, to me, it sets off. I don't like what I call it super Chevy, or super glossy, and it seems like all the cars that do well for judging by the super Chevy judges always have glossy black, and I don't like that. I like a mixture of different satins and flats and blacks, glosses, all sorts of stuff like that. Okay, I'm done preaching. See ya. All right, something else to watch out for when you're buying valve covers. I pulled this valve cover out. I use this valve cover for paint and whatnot. But you'll see that there's no dripper rail in here. Okay, what's a dripper rail? Well, I'll show you. These valve covers I just bought actually have dripper rail in here. And you can see, there they are, dripper rail. And they're spot welded to the valve cover, okay? And as your engine runs, it's going to pump oil up through these rocker arms here. And it's going to squirt all over the place and end up on the underside of this valve cover. And of course, you want the oil to drip back down in certain areas to keep it lubricated. So these drippers are strategically placed so they drip the oil back down on the rocker arms and the springs and keep everything on the top part of the motor nice and lubricated. So there you go. That's why you want a set of valve covers with dripper rails. And a good way to identify them, if you can only see the top of these things, is you'll see little dimples. I can see a dimple right there of where the dripper rail was spot welded. So there you go. Little tips on buying parts. All right, one more comment as we talk about jewelry night. I tell you, a lot of these fasteners that you take apart off the engine, you don't want to reuse them. They're grimy, they're dirty, they're rusty. And it just doesn't pay to reuse. Some of these bolts actually stretch out when you use them. So to me, go get yourself a master bolt kit. This is from AMK. They're on eBay, they're on Ground Up, they're in multiple places you can buy these. You can buy them directly from AMK, although eBay you'll find a better price. And they send you out all these little nuts and bolts in packages that are already marked. And look at this. Distributor. We're a small block. So we'll put that bolt will go back there on the distributor. I mean, I bought the valve covers and they came with the nice little tabs and whatnot and the bolts. But there you go, valve covers. Everything's marked, and I tell you, they got just about everything you need in here. Crank pulley. What else here? Look at this. Even the intake hole small plug, 3/8 inch pipe. Any little fastener you might need, you'll get in here. Ignition coil strap. It's got the little screw there. So just cool little bits and pieces. Even a wing nut for this little beauty right here. But nice stuff. Highly recommended. They make all the nuts and bolts for everything. Um, you know, Uncle Larry, what he'll do is he'll take an original bolt because no, some of them aren't just perfect. He'll take an original bolt, he'll put it in his pocket, and he'll walk around for a week with that bolt or nut or fastener in his pocket, in with his change. And when he used to work at GM, he did a lot of walking, so he'd walk around with these nuts and bolts in his pocket, and they'd shine up over the week. I tell you, I bet you to this day you can ask Uncle Larry, do you have any nuts or bolts in your pocket? And he'll pull out some nuts and bolts that he's trying to get shined up to put on a project. But I'm not going to do that. I got dress pants at work, so Patty wouldn't like me too much about that. So I'll go out and I'll buy the kits. So there you go. Tip night on jewelry night at Meldrum's Monster Garage. All right, so now we're getting some hoses on here and whatnot.
Grass needs mowed again.
Uh-oh.
And whatnot.
It's Patty harassing me. I guess it's time to mow the grass. Dang it. Oh, well. But what I was going to say about the hoses, I got the original style hoses here. They fit real nice. I am on back order with hose clamps. Anybody else having problems? Especially parts come out of Florida. I seem to be having all sorts of problems with the United States Postal Service coming out of Florida. I don't know what's going on there. But I did get all my hoses, but I don't have any of the hose clamps or anything I need. So, hey, let me know if you're having problems with Florida.